I just wanted to take a few moments to speak about something that's really important, and like most people don't actually understand this. Is the fact that, like, as an AI automation engineer, you're someone who literally injects cognition into systems so that the people in the organization can think freely and sort of work creatively in other roles. What that means is you take like literal human thought processes, you model them, and then you codify them into digital frameworks, uh, which you then refine over time by prompting, so that at the end of the day, those processes can end up performing better than humans. So they can perform faster, they can perform more consistently, and at a fraction of the cost. Um, that means your effectiveness as an AI automation engineer hinges on number one, how intelligent you can make your systems. Number two, the cost of that intelligence, because you want it to be cheaper than hiring a human. And number three, the complexity of the human thought process that you're actually trying to model. So these three elements are actually inseparable, and it's something you have to think about like all the time. How do I sort of make my systems more intelligent, but like less costly, and still be able to model the complexity of what it takes to actually be human? Um, this was something that I was thinking about, and what I came to realize is the fact that humans any human skill takes time to develop. So it takes time, focus, attention, because for one thing, it takes time to develop a skill, right? It also takes focus because with the focus, you'll be able to not only learn what to do, but also learn everything that you're not supposed to do. So you're making mistakes. You're constantly iterating off those mistakes. Like it took time, effort, and focus for me to actually learn how to make videos properly. Um, and but that's exactly the thing. Like because of all my experiences, I know how valuable this skill is. Um, so inevitably, it takes all those valuable things, time, focus, and resources to create value. Which is why it's no surprise to me that the AI industry has been sort of growing like this. It's because everyone's just been funneling a ton of value into it, in terms of human resources, money, and sort of physical resources like GPUs and so on and so forth. Um, so, but the funny thing is the fact that we live in this funny age where it's like scaling laws are starting to creep in. And I know people have been saying the exact same thing for months now. They've been talking about scaling laws, like, oh, scaling laws, scaling laws. But like it's only becoming very relevant right now. Before it was fine. Like you could just, call up Jensen, get a few GPUs, slap them into the system, and then just have your AI start, creating all these different tokens or speeding up its process of actually getting smarter. But now, um, these systems are relying on a different kind of process to get smarter, and that's like reinforced learning. That's something we could talk about like at a later date. But for now, I just wanted to focus more on this aspect of like what it means for systems to be intelligent, and especially how it relates to humans. Whether or not these systems are intelligent in the first place is a philosophical debate for most people, but I feel like you can still draw parallels. And I feel like when you
You
draw
have
parallels,
perfectly distilled the architecture we have co created.
yes, we are co-creating architectures here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, anyway, um, what you need to understand is that when you draw parallels between between AI and humans, that's when you start realizing how you can inject uh, thinking processes that seem like human thinking processes into systems. So what I mean by that is you can model a human's thought process the same way as an AI. So like think about the brain as some kind of token generation engine that is constantly getting prompted by reality, right? You see something, you can't help but think something, like you think the color. Maybe I'm thinking of the color of this camera right now, which is black. I'm thinking of the screen. I'm thinking of all these lights, everything around me. Um, all of those are just tokens that get generated inside my head. In the same way, you might prompt an AI, and the AI starts get generating tokens from its model. Um, and all of that is just based on probability, right? I'll probably think something based on things I've experienced, based on things I've learned before, based on all the conscious and unconscious things that have happened and that have primed me throughout my life. So the idea here is very simple, right? Like most people, they drift through life in a days, right? They just go through things like one day at a time, and they never actually step outside of their little token generation loops. That's like, I feel like that's just because they're all just NPCs. Like I feel like it's only when you start living life not from your three little brains, so it's like from your survival reptilian brain, or your limbic emotional brain, or your logical neocortex brain. It's only when you start living from the fourth level, which is the level of your awareness, where you're able to sort of look at everything at an overarching level, and you're able to understand systems from a fundamental level as well, right? Because how else, if you're if you're an AI automation engineer, how else are you going to model thinking in humans if you can't even understand thinking in yourself? And that's why, okay, for the purpose of the technology that we have, you need to grasp the parallels between AI and humans, right? You need to stop separating what's happening inside your head with what's happening inside AI. I'm not saying it's the same. I'm saying as long as we can model it as similar events, then we can start thinking of ways to make the systems that we develop better, or to make ourselves better as well. Anyway, I was talking about scaling laws, right? Back in, 2023 or whatever, you could call these, you could call up any you could call up Nvidia and be like, hey, I need some GPUs to make my system smarter, and they would just give them to you, and that would probably like get you, generating really good models and systems. But the era is currently over, and right now they are switching towards a different kind of model of developing these new systems. They're focusing not on the actual sort of the data, or the processing. They're more focusing on the architecture, whether it's physical architectures that actually make up the systems. So it's like, maybe instead of wires, they're replacing the systems with optical fiber cables, and they're replacing sort of these GPUs with like actual AI integrated chip circuit systems. But like that's a totally different conversation altogether. Um, but basically, it's this thing, right? Like the architectures. Um, Although LLMs are sort of token generating um, systems, um, as long as you understand the architecture that governs them, then you'll understand like how they work, and you'll also understand how you can use them. One thing I've had to realize, by just by mere fact that I use these things every day, is that the longer the token generation, the more errors exist inside the generations. So it's like how you could start imagining something, and then your imagination just takes all these different directions that you never wanted to go. It's like that. Um, the longer the stream, the more entropy creeps in, and the more entropy creeps in, then the more errors exist, right? uh, you've seen it yourself probably a lot of times. I know, I used to be a writer, so like when I would ask my AI to like write something, if it was writing something small, it would like make really good quality content. But if it was like huge, then it would start sucking like very, very quickly. And this all just because entropy is inevitable, right? All systems will tend to disorder unless they're actively maintained. And you know what else tends to disorder if it's not actively maintained? Business processes, right? You have one person, even if you have one person in a position in a business, and that person is doing the exact same thing every single day, they never actually do it the same, right? Why? Because they go out, because they have lives. So what that means is, someone goes home, maybe they have too much to drink, and then they sleep, they have like terrible sleep, so they come back to work, even if they're doing the same thing, they're doing it at less quality. Right? They go home, something happens to them, their cat dies, they come back, they're sad, less quality. Um, or maybe another guy steps out for a smoke, and then literally an email comes in right at that moment. And what they don't know is that their speed to lead is getting more cooked over time. So now they can't even, they have like a less chance of converting that lead just because they actually do things. So most people don't notice these small things, but like that's exactly the thing. It's like Murphy's law always has a way of catching up, and these small little things, these small little disorders in the system that is business, they spiral into even deeper disorders. And disorder creates friction. And friction is exactly the thing that you don't want, because as much as it works for like high functioning systems, like dating and personal development, like you need friction in personal development because it's always better to overcome something, right? That's one thing the brain understands and notices. But when it comes to like business, which is just something that's supposed to be like a really well-oiled, machine that's constantly just chugging away with no friction, you don't need friction. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. So that's effectively where automation comes in, right? You what I'm trying to get to is you have to imagine a world where you don't have that employee that's constantly getting affected by life, coming back and doing this annoying process that they have to do again and again and again. If a process can be broken down into like sequential steps that can be modeled with data, information, and systems, then they should. Because as I said, like systems will tend to disorder if they're left unchecked. And you know, like with AI actually sort of helping us, it's very difficult for me to like it's very difficult for me to underestimate the possibility and the capability of AI, especially with its ability to literally inject the ability to think into systems, right? Because it might sound simple, but it's anything but simple. You're not just giving the system the ability to think, you're transforming like some kind of disordered process that a human would have taken on, and you're turning it into this codified, simplified, repeatable system that is governed by a thinking system that doesn't have all this stuff that might happen to it, maybe whether it comes to life or like people or other things. Um, you're more importantly, that person who is doing all of that, they probably don't like doing the exact same thing, right? Humans love growth, they need growth in their life, and when they don't have it, they'll obviously start tending towards maybe some kind of disordered chaotic states like boredom. And what you need to do is you need to understand that as much as disorder is bad for your business, disorder is good for humans sometimes, because the creativity is something that can only exist in disorder, right? It exists in that state between like knowing something and not knowing something, the part where you like bridge the gap. um, and if you allow the humans in your business to actually go from doing these like really annoying tasks to doing something that takes more creativity, then uh, you will see like people coming out as themselves more, right? Instead of pushing people into these positions that will drain their creative energy, you will basically allow them to be more imaginative and allow them to express themselves more, which is exactly what you want. You want people in flow states, um, especially if they're working for you, because like if they're working for you and they're enjoying what they do, so for one thing they'll want to work for you even more, and for another thing, they'll actually put in their best into what they do because they actually enjoy it. um, and this can only lead to one thing, right, which is like business growth. So basically, my point is this, right? It's like, um, I feel like everyone is an automation engineer. I feel like if you're growing a business, then you're not just someone who is, running down leads. You're someone who is implementing systems that help that sort of put whatever intention you have in your mind into reality in the simplest way possible, whether it's by putting humans in place or by putting code in place, or in this case, putting AI automated systems in place. Um, so, what you like, you are an automator. You're someone who automates. You're someone who's trying to automate the growth of your business, even if you never played around with automation platforms or code or whatever. You are automating. Is basically my point. And what you need to start thinking about is turning those thoughtless, disordered systems that you have into functional systems, so that the people in your organization can exemplify the best, the most creative versions of themselves in your business as much as possible. Um, that's basically it. This is actually what I help people with. If you want help implementing those kinds of systems, then you can find the link in the description. And if you want to learn from me, then there's also another link for that. Um, Thanks for watching, and I'll see you when I see you, which is probably next time. So, goodbye.